So, by the looks of it, I am not going to be able to reduce my size. Oh well. Couldn't find a panel I wanted to join or that was available, so I'm just going to go ahead and start my own. My thing is, America is not Team World Police, and we need to mind our own business and worry about our own domestic issues. I'm also at work right now, so if you want to join in, give me time. I got a lot of downtime on this job, so when I'm not doing anything too much, I'm just going to go ahead and stream a little bit. But yeah, my position is America shouldn't have been intervening in Ukraine, and we should not get involved in Israel. This isn't our fight. We got too many domestic problems at home. If you disagree, send a request. If I can get to it, I will. I am an anti-interventionist.
How's it going in here, dude?
Alright. Alright. Guess most people are just coming in or out. There are times I might leave the stream to run out food, but it's a Sunday. It's usually not going to get busy around here until about 10-ish. Sometimes it gets busy around 8:30, 9. Anybody got a disagreement? You want to join the chat? Send a request. Honestly, y'all are pretty silent. Man, if only there was a better panel that I could have joined, I could have found, but instead the algorithm was giving me gamer content. I'm trying to join a panel, not just watch somebody play Super Mario for a little bit. Okay, let me try to invite some people. What's going on? Welcome to the chat. Man, couldn't find a panel to join. Now nobody's joining this stream. It's going to be a boring day, isn't it? Stuck here till 2 o'clock in the morning. If anybody wants to join, defend my... Anybody got an opposing opinion? Anybody think we should intervene on, I don't know, Palestine? Anybody thinks it's all fraud, it became this way to begin with? Come on, I'm trying to get a panel going. Need some opposing views. Or is everybody just on this train of, can we stop meddling in foreign nations? It's just a popular opinion? Yeah, no, let's not turn the Middle East to glass. The Middle East will probably do a good job of doing that itself with the way things are going right now. We don't need to send bombers. We need to worry about ourselves. I mean, I'm living in Louisiana. The Mississippi River's at an all-time low, and the Gulf of Mexico is starting to back up, and it's gotten all the way to New Orleans. We are experiencing the biggest drought, not only in my lifetime, but in history of Louisiana. At least documented history. We've never had a drought this bad, ever. But why should we be sending military supplies or bombers or whatever halfway across the world to blow up kids in other countries? We got kids starving on their feet here. Crops are dying. People can't even drink tap water right now in New Orleans because it's salt water. The Gulf of Mexico backed up all the way to New Orleans because the Mississippi River is so damn dry. And what's going on with Maui since the wildfires? Haven't heard much about it, but I guess they still have problems that nobody's talking about. And if anything, there's very little aid being sent. Celebrities are asking for your money, as if they can't just do it all themselves. Why should we be intervening in the Middle East at all? Thanks for the roses. Also think it's kind of ironic, and I want to say something to all the Republicans out there who have been saying we need to stop invading Ukraine, we need to stay out of Ukraine, we need to stop sending money to Ukraine. I agree with you. Don't flip the script now that it's Israel, the apple of God's eye, or some whatever thing. Just because I go by the name Jesus on here doesn't mean I'm a Christian. It's been a nickname forever. Basically, I didn't come up with it. A bunch of drunk-ass college kids stumbling home pissed drunk from Tigerland did. Why should we intervene in the Middle East? Why should we be intervening in Ukraine? Anybody hold these positions? Now don't get me wrong, I'm not trying, I'm streaming right now. Green screen, nothing's on. Just talking to my boss real quick. You don't mind as long as I get shit down, and right now, nothing's going on. So I'm making guac. Doing something to keep myself busy. I think it's funny, a lot of people do these stupid little TikTok videos at work. Yep. Most of our money's being sent against our will. We have issues in America that aren't being dealt with. We still have one of the highest incarceration rates despite campaign promises made by the Biden-Harris administration. I'm guessing everybody's on board with this position because I haven't had an opposing opinion. Outside of one guy who said we should just turn the Middle East to glass and send bombers over there or whatever. We don't even have to do that. The Middle East is probably going to destroy itself with the way things are going. And it probably wouldn't be this bad if we would stop dicking around out there. Okay. I'm probably not going to waste my breath too much longer. Anybody have an opposing opinion? Anybody think we should be intervening on behalf of Israel, Ukraine, Palestine? What? Yeah. And that's the problem. We're getting involved in things that don't help us. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu stated that no nation has ever benefited from prolonged warfare. The more we keep sending money to the Ukraine, the more we dick around in the Middle East, the more money we're spending. And the only people that are benefiting are a handful of ultra wealthy who support the military-industrial complex. Our tax dollars should not be spent on such things. We already have the best military in the world. And even still, the Second Amendment was meant to deter foreign and domestic violence. If everybody's armed, we can all protect ourselves. Yeah. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to bomb us, but what I think is going to happen is they might pay the cartel to invade us and do a bunch of terrorist attacks around the border. We're already getting cluttered down there. And even then, I'm not sure a guerrilla war with the cartels is going to go in their favor. Because then they're going to get the U.S. military involved. And plus, Texas is the best, terrain-wise, the best bet that the cartels have of mounting an invasion of the U.S. is going to be through Texas. I don't think the Texans are going to put up with that shit too well. Rednecks and trainees are going to put down their differences and just fight the cartels together. That's what's going to happen. It's the flattest terrain around the border region and the most direct route. Problem is, you're going to get, it also has one of the highest populations and one of the highest percentages of gun ownership. And that's only if the cartels are bribed into attacking us. And there's been some talk that China's supporting the cartels, but I don't think that would be a good idea on their part because Mexico is about to replace China as our... Nope, Mexico has already replaced China as our biggest trade partner. Okay, who we got in the comment? Who we got in the chat?
You.
What's going on?
I see. I like your background. Can you tell me a little bit about it? What you mean by that?
I believe I am opposed to intervention. I feel sorry for those who have to fight in Ukraine. I feel sorry for those that have to deal with what's going on in Israel, Palestine. But the fact of the matter is, the more we keep playing world police, the more we end up screwing everything up.
Okay. And when you say that you're a libertarian, you're talking about a right libertarian, not a left libertarian.
I'm a central libertarian.
Central libertarian.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about being a central libertarian.
I refer to myself as a minarchist. I believe the state should be localized and reduced to the minimal necessary. Ideally, if we could, run it as though it was a watchman that exists to enforce laws and protect the people from foreign and domestic threats.
But you support capitalism?
Yes, I feel it's unfortunately socialism sounds good until you see how it's applied.
What do you mean it sounds good?
In a perfect world, people would be willing to work together, but everybody wants something different, and collectivism always leads to centralized authority. And I've never seen an attempt at socialism that didn't lead to collectivism or centralizing authority.
So you're kind of more a right libertarian, it sounds like. Because a left libertarians, until the term libertarian used to mean a left anarchist. At one point, anarchists started to become persecuted, and they changed the term to libertarian. So these were they were anti-capitalist anarchists. But then the name was kind of adopted in the mid-20th century for those who supported a radically unregulated form of capitalism and small government. It sounds like you're more supportive of that type of idea.
I support free market and private property rights.
Okay, there you go. So when you're saying, well, I like that you're saying these are not our fight. When it comes to Palestine and Israel, what are your thoughts on the conflict there?
I don't have any thoughts on the conflict other than it's not our business. I'm more worried about what's going on in my own backyard than what's going on the other end of the world.
Okay. You know, I don't know if you're old enough, like 20 years ago when the U.S. went into Iraq, one of the loudest voices against the war was Ron Paul.
Yes.
And I really like that.
I was a kid back then, but yeah, that's when I first discovered libertarianism.
That's when I first discovered it too. And it really opened my eyes to a whole different perspective and set of ideas because both liberals and conservatives both, you know, just kind of always seem to want to go to war and fund war and supply whoever wants to be at war as well.
Yeah, I really
Um,
go on.
no, please, you.
Oh, I'm also in the middle of making guacamole. I'm actually
Oh,
at
very
work
nice.
right now as a chef, so I'm multitasking.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's cool that you're a chef. Well, I mean, as a libertarian, I know that libertarianism is really based on what I would say is like a radical individualism. But would you be able to empathize at all with people, especially if you're for property rights, for people who have had their property stolen for almost 80 years by an oppressive state? You know, if we're against a big government and a big state, the state of Israel has been stealing land and taking lives of the Palestinian people for almost 8 decades.
And then you have the other side of the coin that basically our intervention arguably is responsible for the creation of Hamas at that. So we created our own boogeyman, and now we're using it.
Yeah, yeah. The U.S. and Israel created Hamas because the before that it was the PLO, and the PLO was much more peaceful, and Hamas was much more of a radical, militaristic organization. But you know, I could understand that. I mean, look, when you watch, do you ever watch Star Wars?
Yes.
I mean, when you watch Star Wars and you see the rebels, are you thinking like they shouldn't be doing that? They should be like, you know, protesting or like, you know, marching or holding signs? No, if you're under like decades and decades of oppression, people are gonna rebel.
Yeah.
It's just would you do it?
Well, those who make peaceful revolutions impossible will make violent ones inevitable.
Exactly.
This was a long time coming. This all
Yeah.
goes back to just after World War One when we created the states of Iraq, and well, we didn't. The French and the British basically wanted to colonize the Middle East with the remnants of what was left of the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
They Syria was going to become a uh, French colony, and Iraq was going to be a British colony.
Yeah.
Then they set aside Palestine, Israel, making so many promises to so many different tribal groups, from the Jews to Palestinians, and there's no way they could have kept all of them. And if they would have just said, "Hey, y'all sort out what's going on with the collapse of the Ottoman Empire on our own. We're out of here," would have probably would have gotten rid of. There probably would have been an era of civil war, but that happens usually when empires collapse. It's inevitable. Trying to
Yeah.
maintain the peace really just kicked the bucket down the road and just created another powder keg,
Hmm.
similar to Europe prior to World War One.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I mean, and I have some libertarian tendencies, even though I'm a person of the left. But whenever there is land theft, whenever there is the theft of property, I think that people from libertarians to socialists and communists and anarchists should definitely speak up against that because
Yeah.
we shouldn't just care about our property rights, but the property rights of other people. And I mean, that's what's going on there. I mean, you could be in your home and knock on your door at, 2 o'clock in the morning and them telling you some family just showed up from the United States. They're moving in and you got to be out. And that's the kind of stuff that has been happening. You're just thrown out of your home if you're a Palestinian.
Yeah.
So are you working or are you just cooking for the family?
Uh, I'm working actually. I'm a chef at a strip club, so on the weekends I make guacamole and fresh fruit for the dancers, and they
Wow,
pierce me.
that's nice.
So yeah, it's a nice little side hustle on top of the job itself.
Wow, that's great. There was I live in New York City. They closed down most of the strip clubs here.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I was about to go to work at one of the clubs in New Orleans as a dancer, but by the time the pandemic ended, the only clubs that were still around were all gay clubs.
oh wow.
So I decided might wait around a little bit, see if any of the other clubs open. But
Uh-huh.
then all the dancer friends here say that it's better off if I shave and do the gay clubs. It's like I can't shave at this point. I've already built a platform.
You
With
already have a platform as Jesus. You can't go back now.
yes, I am, and I'm also streaming.
All right, well, I'm going to let you get back to your cooking and
Okay.
your dancers and your guacamole, but it was good talking to you.
Good talking to you. Thank you.
All right.
Made that last time.
Yeah.
It was that one. It was so good.
Yeah. I added a little bit more cilantro this time. I'm probably going to add more lemon juice or lime juice.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. That was a nice conversation. So rare to find a leftist that I can actually sit down and talk to. But then again, more accurately, it's hard for me to find a leftist on the internet I can sit down and talk to. Have an honest conversation with. Yeah, I'm starting to think that might be the problem. Nobody really disagrees with this point. Because it took about 20 minutes for the first guy to jump in. Oh. One thing my boss requires me is to cover up the company logo because he knows how people get online regarding politics. Yeah, now I need to dice up some jalapenos. I've already sliced up all the avocados, added the cilantro paste. It just goes better than... I usually use fresh cilantro, but the cilantro paste, it just fits so well. And of course you add lime to for not only flavor, but to keep it from browning so fast. Now I'm about to dice up some jalapenos. It's amazing it went from me trying to start a panel. As a Christian, the absolute support for Israel is infuriating. Yeah, I'm not even a Christian, but even when I was, I had a more nuanced perspective on whether or not we support Israel. Then again, even as a Christian, I believed in evolution, and I butted heads with a lot of people in church over it growing up. How dare you believe in evolution? That's satanic. No, it's science. But it goes against its Christian doctrine. It was literally written by a Christian. The theory of evolution. Charles Darwin was a devout Christian. Biden for retirement. All right. What's going on?
Oh, now I can see the words. Love it. Love what you're doing. None of this matters to any of
Yeah.
us. You know, we're always going to the aid to other countries that, what our government, whether allegedly they have a hand in this, we don't know. We don't know. Um, if it wasn't on the news, nobody would care. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the what's it? Ethiopian civil war that happened around the same time as Ukraine started. Nobody talked about it, and it evolved into trench
Yep.
war like World War One, and was a lot bloodier than what was going on in Ukraine. Higher death toll and everything, but it got completely ignored by the Western media.
Yep. Do you remember when Obama was in office and I don't know if it was under Obama or Trump, but it was the war in Africa or was it Ethiopia, the one where they savaged like hundreds of men just because they were men and kept the women?
I don't know. The only war I know of in recent years in Africa was the aforementioned Ethiopian civil war.
It was the Save the Women, Save the Girls, Save Our Girls. Clinton campaigned off of it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that that was a big one with not ISIS, but the other one. Excuse me. What's the other jihadists?
Hey man, I got a bit of a conspiracy theory, but what I think is going on, like, and it's not just with this, it's just everything. The whole world knows that when you attack one of America's allies, America's going to get involved, right? And our economic situation right now, we're already having a problem with inflation. The government's just constantly throwing money at shit. And I think the enemies of the United States government are intentionally sponsoring and pushing for this kind of shit to happen over and over again in order to collapse the socioeconomic status of the Western world. So, and I honestly, it's not even unjustified. We've been going around policing the world, and I think this is just a naturally occurring process that's playing out. And I think our involvement in the world, this is how the world's responding to it. I honestly, that's how I see this whole thing is like the enemies of our government. There's a power struggle right now, and they're trying to cause the collapse of the U.S.
Do you remember the Ottoman Empire?
I wasn't around back then, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Essentially, that was the entire Middle East fighting against everybody. So they've been doing this for years, hundreds, if not 1,000 years, right? This conflict amongst themselves is just merely religious. When the Moors attacked Slovakia, which was operated by the Hungary Republic before they became independent, the Ottoman Empire was before the Hungary, how do you say it, communist regime took over Slovakia. Ottoman Empire took over Slovakia for years, enslaved the people, enslaved a lot of European people, up till 1940s. Like the Ottoman Empire was still existing in the 1970s and 1990s. So it's been around for a long time, and that's just Middle East without colonization and European attacking people.
Yeah, it's the common theme of all major empires. Look at what happened to the Roman Empire before it collapsed. You had the barbarians at the time, the German tribes and everything. What were they doing? They were coming into the country, just raiding and pillaging, and you can equate that to what's going on at the Mexican border.
Okay.
They were out waging war all over the place, all the way up into Britain and all over the damn world. And it's just the same thing. It's like we failed to learn from history. It's a cycle.
Look at the Mayans and Aztecs. They're gone. I mean, there's some relics left, but the Mayans, I believe, are just decimated. There's nothing. You know, and that wasn't us. That wasn't the Europeans that did that. That was the Spaniards, along with the help of other French and whatever. But you know, war's been happening for a very long time.
Okay. So I'm in the final stages of making guac for the dancers at work.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I find it funny that people don't talk about what happens in Palestine or Palestine to their own people. That's the Palestinian government. It's pretty bad. Like, you're forced into marriage at 12 years old. No same-sex couples. They brutally unalive people for believing in same-sex marriage, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's probably busy, but
I'm almost done making the guac. Then I'm gonna have to run it to the. That's why I'm trying to create a panel so that y'all can talk to each other, keep it
oh
going.
yeah,
In the
I don't know if
meantime,
the guest is busy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm listening. But yeah, like the that's something that should be reported on is more, I think, is about the type of government that's over the Palestinian people, and really those are the people that are making decisions for the rest of the people in what is called Palestine. So you don't really have, it's not really the people communicating what they want with the Israeli government. The two-state solution, for example, who is it that shoots that down every time? It's not the Palestinian people. It's the people that are in charge of or govern over the Palestinian people.
Correct.
Those are the kinds of conversations that people need to be having, is like, because like it's obvious that the Palestinian government is just abusing their authority over their own people. And you can't solve the problem if you don't know what it is. You can't address the problem if nobody knows what it is.
Right. I mean, look at Africa as a continent itself. Many countries within Africa, they have the same issue that we have. Although, like, people like to argue that we had a lot to do with it. That's debatable. But, when we pull out and they do a mass exodus of white farmers, say no more white farmers over here, and they get rid of everybody, and they're left to their own, and they still don't get better, things don't turn around, they still blame us. So,
Yeah, the South Africa thing, like I've been looking into that, just looking at the population rates. You go back 100, 150 years, look at the population, and it's crazy, the shift, because there were, like, if you look at the population rates among Africans, native indigenous Africans there, like it was less than the white population. And then it just shot up. Millions and millions of people just started flooding into the country. They weren't born there. They all came to that country, and they just overran it. And now it's their country. It's not the white people are the
right.
ones that came in and settled it, and there were hardly no people there. There were, of course, indigenous people, and those people actually prospered when the colonists came, and they built up the economy, and everybody was prospering. And then you had everybody else from all these other countries that came in and just wrecked it. And it's a hellhole now.
Right.
It's awful down there. Like,
you look at
struggling with inflation and everything.
Absolutely. Look at Northern Africa, right? You got the Chinese government that went in, I believe, around early 2000s, maybe 2012, and they were trying to build up the city and infrastructure by, going through these negotiations with resources. Once they got their resources, the African government's like, hey, we want a better piece of this. Let's negotiate something that benefits the African people, I forget what country it was. And they said, nope, F you, pull out, destroyed everything within a 2-year period.
It was probably Zimbabwe or Somalia.
Yep.
I know both of those have had similar issues, runaway inflation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's wild, man. Power, unchecked power equals corruption. I don't care what anybody says. If you uncheck the amount of power people have, it goes crazy.
I honestly, really, I don't see a solution anymore, because like what needs to be done is, like, we really need to emulate what the founding fathers did in this country. We need to be able to establish committees of correspondence and start talking to each other, and establish our own representation for ourselves on local and state levels, and try and move away from having representation or participating in the election process in the federal government. Completely delegitimize it. Imagine if you only have the population of the country now is between probably around 350 to 400 million people, including the illegal immigrants. So imagine if you were able to convince enough people not to vote, where you have like 10 million people voting, deciding national elections. Just 10 million people out of out of a country of 400 million people. Imagine if you were that low, what it would cause. Just if you had that situation and you just broadcast that to the people in the country, is like you have 10 million people in this country deciding who is going to be the president of the United States, right? Imagine if you had that situation. It would completely delegitimize the entire political system. And like that's what people need to do, is because it's already illegitimate, right? Like we are choosing between, we're given two people that both suck, and we're having to choose between them. And there's no choice. It's really no choice. If you're putting the choices in front of the people and say you have to choose this or this, it's not a fucking choice.
Is there a way to fix our election process right now?
Is there a way to fix it?
Yeah, to fix it where you feel like, because right now all of our singular votes truly don't matter, frankly. But like, how would you see what I'm saying? How do we fix the way we elect public officials right now? Because right now it's not working.
2 ways I think of. One, we need to start building alternative parties, and it starts on a local level. That's partially why I'm here. I call myself Libertarian Jesus, because the whole reason I started doing TikTok was to promote the Libertarian Party back in 2020, because I wasn't satisfied with Biden or Trump, and I wanted to start growing alternative parties. And no matter how I vote in Louisiana, it's going red no matter what, so it made no difference to me.
Sure.
Second thing we can do is start switching out state by state, because the states get to decide how voting is done. We can switch to ranked choice voting, which is basically you get 3 votes. One, your first choice, your choice you want your vote to go, if your first doesn't win, and your third choice, if your first 2 don't win, the third choice gets the vote. That way it will actually help alternative parties gain a footing, because a lot of people say, well, I don't actually like either of these two, either the Republicans or the Democrats, but I can't vote Libertarian, or I can't vote Green, or I can't vote Constitutional or Worker Socialist or whatever, because then this guy is going to win instead of the guy I hate a little bit less.
So that would be like average Joe Blow.
One thing we could do is take party affiliation off of the ballots completely. Just take party affiliation, the R and the D, take it off the ballots. Just put the names of the candidates that are running up there. And like it is crazy how many people go and vote and don't have any idea who they're voting for going in. Right. And they just see a R or a D next to the name and they say, that's the person I'm voting for. If you were to do that and people go in there expecting to see R,
so many people.
You go ahead.
So many people don't even know their own commissioner. They don't even know their own auditor, their local auditor, that they get voted into office. Or even their sheriff, the county sheriff they vote on. They don't even know that.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
All right, so the main reason I joined the live, just a quick question, big thought question. As you know, United States, as large as we are, do we have any obligation to join, like say like the Ukraine war, like this Israel war? Like, what is it? Should the United States have an obligation to do any of this sort, or foreign aid, or any of the? What is the obligation of the United States to the world?
The United States shouldn't have any obligation to the world.
They don't owe anybody anything.
And see what's going on right now is that's the reason why we're in such a situation economically. Look at the government shutdowns. The reason why they're pushing, Matt Gaetz is standing up in Congress and saying we need shutdowns is because the spending is out of control. Imagine what's going to happen when we get to the point where we can't even pay off the interest on our debt. That would completely cause the collapse of the United States dollar. But militarily, this is my last point. Militarily, how many people do you think are going to go fight in the United States military? How many people do you think are going to go overseas and fight in foreign countries when this country is falling apart here? Like they're talking about the draft right now. Like imagine like the turmoil that's going to cause when we have a situation where everything's falling apart here, and you're going to try and push for a draft so that people can leave here and go fight in another country when this country's essentially being invaded.
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
I put it this way. Any war that we've ever been in after World War II is just protected interests. Look at these corporate lobbyists. every big donor that comes from Iran, Iraq, or Israel, whatever it is, wherever it comes from, and they end up being in a war, we send over military aid or humanitarian aid. We're just protecting those corporate lobbyists, man. All their interests. Like you look in the 1990s, we had a big deal with the nuclear assets in India, and guess who was pushing for that? You got Bill Clinton, Obama, Bush. They're pushing for that peace deal, protecting their interests. That nuclear deal doesn't help us Americans, but it helps India. You know?
I
And
still kind of don't.
I agree with everything you just said.
I don't
It's scary
understand.
though. I need somebody to come up and tell me because we all agree on that one side. I'm hoping that one day that somebody can show me something that proves me wrong on all those ideas. But no, I agree wholeheartedly. It's all manipulated corporate greed at the end of the day. You know, either through lobbying or through X, Y, or Z. It's hard for me not to believe that.
As
The
for a solution, bro, I gotta get going though. But as for a solution, I don't mean to interrupt you,
No,
but
you're good.
I don't think there's a one size fit all. Right now, I think the best thing we can do is just wait because obviously the FBI is on its toes with everything about activism. So we got to be careful with what we say and do and what we want to accomplish because it's a very dangerous time here in America.
Amen to that. But yeah, the corporate thing, like this is something else people need to when people view governments as people need to view it as a corporation because it has its own corporate interests and like it is the ultimate monopoly. Like it is by all terms the definition of corporation. And it seeks the same thing as corporations do, except the only thing that's different is that it does not have to produce anything of value in order to exist. It does the opposite. It takes from those that produce value in order to exist. That is the difference between that and what we view as a corporation. But I honestly, I don't know. I think ultimately what's going to end up happening is everything's going to collapse, and I just hope that people all across this country have come together in their local communities or something and created their own parallel economies going into it. Because if they don't, they're fucked. It's like what the Joker said in that in the second movie, Heath Ledger's Joker. What he said is like, what's going to happen when the chips are down? These people, they'll eat each other. These civilized people will eat each other. And that's what's going to happen in the cities because they don't know a damn thing about growing food. And once they get done pillaging and raping and killing each other, I shouldn't have said that because it might take the live down. But
or much less just even have, you know, you live in an apartment, you don't have a place to do anything like that.
Yeah. Like
so
what's going to happen is
they're going to be other.
Taking each other out and for food and cannibalizing each other. And then when they get done doing that, they're going to start roaming off into the rural areas where people are surviving, and then that's going to be the conflict. And it's probably going to take just a matter of weeks before that actually begins once everything falls apart. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen anytime soon, but it will happen eventually.
In your opinion, do you see that because the way that we're about to see our military get very thinned out in multiple different positions right now, do you believe that the Chinese will take advantage and start making moves towards Taiwan?
I don't know what they're going to be doing in the short term, but I know that China is going to have a problem if the socioeconomic structure of the world begins to crumble and collapse. They're going to have their own internal problems. They've got billions of mouths to feed there, and their economy relies heavily on U.S. consumerism. And if something were to break out, they would have that. I think that's part of what the COVID thing was, and the leak of the COVID virus in the lab, is they were doing a trial run on how effectively they could implement measures in order to lock down their own citizenry and how long they could keep them subjugated, and roll out a plan for sustaining their compliance. And you look.
I want to address this comment.
Why are they reporting such a high death rate?
I want to address this comment in the chat. Why do libertarians spend their time fantasizing about social collapse instead of doing anything to prevent it? We're doing plenty to try to prevent it, but we're also preparing for a worst case scenario, acknowledging the possibilities of a worst case scenario and working around what can be done once it gets to that is not the same thing as fantasizing about it. Ideally, we would like to avoid it, but just because we talk about it does not mean we want it to happen. It just means we want to have a good discussion so that we know what to do if worse comes to worse.
I would like to ask him a question. What is he doing about it? What are you doing about it? And what political party or political ideology do you follow? What are you doing about it? Do you vote Republican? Democrat? What are they doing about the problem? What is anybody doing about the problem? What can we do about the problem? And why are you going after libertarians who are talking about the problem? What is wrong with drawing attention to the problem? Are you able to answer any of those questions? Or are you willing, rather? You're probably able to answer, and you probably will give some garbage response, but...
Host, in the meantime, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
What did you think about in 2016 when Gary Johnson ran for the underneath the Libertarian ideology party? Do you like Gary Johnson at all?
I do. I mean, I guess there's definitely better people out there, but
Sure.
most of the more knowledgeable libertarians are either old, they are registered with other parties like Rand Paul as a Republican. But as far as between Hillary and Trump, I definitely would have taken Gary Johnson over them. And everybody wouldn't get off his butt over the Aleppo thing when they were talking about something totally different. Then they switched to foreign policy for no reason.
All right.
Limp
That was
Linguini.
my main question. I got to get out of here, but great talking. Thank you so much. But no, I agree wholeheartedly that I wish you got a bigger shot at it. But anywho, y'all have a wonderful night.
You too, man. Limp Linguini. I am not saying that I am any different than anyone else. I'm saying no one is different than anyone else. We are all the same. That is exactly what I'm saying. Everyone is talking, no action. You are right there in the comments, talking with no action. I'm saying there's no room to criticize, but keep on. Jesus, dude, these people in the comments.
Yeah, I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah, I haven't really done the live thing. It's kind of new, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's like people who constantly bring up the age of consent with libertarians. At this point, I'm so used to it and already have my arguments lined up. I just use it as an excuse to once again debunk it and put it on the FYP. More people are going to, because the reality, only people who are explicitly anti-libertarian think that's a valid argument. Neutral parties, apolitical individuals, they don't buy into that without evidence. And if you provide a valid case on why that is wrong constantly and keep it on the FYP, people who are neutral are going to see, yeah, that age of consent nonsense is BS. I don't even like libertarians, but the age of consent argument is ridiculous.
This guy commented again. Okay, let's see. But what are you doing about the problem, though, is the question. Like, you're going out and helping people. You're feeding families, I guess, or something every day.
I'm Cajun Navy, my dude.
Well, I'm talking to the guy in the comments.
I know.
But I mean, yeah. So he's making these criticisms. He knows nothing about us. He says he's going out in the community and he's helping people. What I do, I live on a farm. I go out and I fix fences and I take care of cows and I'm trying to build some kind of way to sustain food. And like, if shit hits the fan, I want to be able to help the community. I want to be involved in the community. I want to be able to give food to the community if necessary, if shit hits the fan. We've got cows out here. We've got chickens. We're raising chickens. They're laying eggs. We're trying to get in the habit of being able to reintroduce new animals. naturally without having to go buy animals. Like I'm working every day doing whatever the hell I can to get a farm in shape that can sustain food in the event that everything collapses. He's going out and he's buying food, I guess, from a job that might not exist in the event of a collapse. And what are you going to do then? Right? Like he can't go to the grocery store and buy food and help families or anything if he's not got a job and making money, if the currency's insolvent and it's not worth anything anymore. I'm over here, I'm living on a farm, I'm doing whatever the hell I can to keep it in shape. It's a pretty big damn farm. It's over 400 acres. So I mean, we've got lakes and stuff out here. I wish we could get them stocked with fish, but I mean that costs money, and like we're fucking poor, but I'm still doing everything I can fucking do to keep it in shape. And he's over here criticizing me in the comments like he's somebody that's hard because he can go help families. What is he going to be doing when the economy collapses? I mean, shit. Sorry for the rant, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, typical bad faith argumentation. It's like we don't volunteer, or that volunteering to help that people isn't part of libertarian philosophy. There's actually a sect of libertarian theory called volunteerism.
Who's turning their back on their allies? Wonder who that's referencing, if he's referencing somebody in the comments or if he's referencing one of us.
Probably
Oh yeah, okay, the main
thing.
argument, yeah. Turn their back on Israel. What are you going to do when you're starving in the streets, though? Jesus Christ, like we can't help anybody if we're fucking starving, if we're broke, if America collapses. Who are you going to help then? Who's the government going to help then? Like,
well, here's the thing. That's what I talk about helping our allies. World War I started because a minor nation had big allies, and their big allies are the only ones they remember about the war. What was it? Serbia was allies with Russia. So when Serbia went to Russia for help, Russia's like, all right, we're coming to help you. When Serbians assassinated the Archduke of, what was it? The Austro-Hungarian Empire. And Russia said, all right, we're going to come help Serbia. And Austria's like, oh, hey, Germany, want in on this? Germany's like, yeah, we'll come help you. And France is like, well, we're allies with the Russians, so we're going to come help. We're going to go help Russia. Hey, Britain, you want in on this? Britain got in on it too. It was all because some little nation had a bunch of big allies, and all these larger allies killed each other for nearly a decade, sending their best and their brightest young men to die in trenches over one noble's death.
Did you see Hood's comment? Libertarians are just Republicans too afraid to say that.
Yeah, that's why I've just been ranting about why we shouldn't get involved with Israel. That's why this whole conversation is about anti-interventionism.
Yep. What issue exactly is he in reference to? What specifically about libertarians? Name one policy issue that's libertarians and conservatives agree on.
Is it about our support of spicy work are very Republican? Because spicy work pays my bills.
I bet he thinks the right is fascist too.
Probably thinks anybody he disagrees with is fascist. Really, what I've noticed is that libertarians actually have way more in common with leftists. The only thing we really have in common with Republicans is gun rights and capitalism. Epstein didn't kill himself.
That's the root of libertarianism is classical liberalism anyway.
Give me a minute.
In the middle of scrolling.
Of course, and somebody else compares me to the lead singer of System of a Down.
Hey.
Since
many Jews hold dual citizenship, do you think there'll be a plethora of Jews, American Jews, that will go fight and volunteer, or not?
Honestly, don't think a single one of them is going to go over there.
Yeah, you heard they censored Spike Cohen's Instagram and Facebook today because he criticized American intervention in Israel.
Wow. No,
Yeah. They censored a Jewish man who was criticizing American intervention in Israel.
yeah, yeah. Because I was always curious to see, like, what the amount of the Hasidic population, because I know a lot of people want the U.S. to step in, but you know, are they gonna go join the fight before, and say, hey, come follow us, or are they just saying, hey, go over there and join the fight without actually going? How passionate are these people? Are they going to go and fight for their country? We'll see. Anyway, that's it. Just figured I'd ask. Thanks, guys.
I mean, you have a good one.
Uh, yeah, I had somebody in the comment section, didn't get to say anything. Liberalism today is socialism. There are people in socialist communities who don't like liberals and don't like socialists.
The main problem is everybody's got their definitions all messed up. They don't know what words mean anymore, and it's very common on the right too. Like, and that's one thing that I try and do is I don't try to demean anybody. I want to try and like teach people how to understand what is actually going on, because you have these terms being thrown around: fascism, socialism, communism, and all of them are forms of totalitarianism. It's all totalitarianism. It's all it is. And the idea that we have to argue against one specific thing rather than recognizing that it's a form of totalitarianism. People are arguing against socialism, communism. Just argue against totalitarianism. That covers all your freaking bases. So,
Yeah.
like, that's fascism, socialism, communism. They're all forms of totalitarianism. Just stop arguing against socialism and communism and calling these people out for what they are. They're totalitarians.
Yeah. Well, thing is, we're living in an age where red scare tactics have just been the go-to for everybody. Become the go-to for everybody. Instead of just accusing everybody of being communist, now one group is running around accusing everybody of being fascist. One group's running around accusing everybody of being misogynistic, so on and so forth. I think the left has become what the right was when I was growing up. I'm noticing way more younger right-wingers who are willing to sit down and have conversations.
Yep.
It's rare for me to encounter a leftist, at least online, that can actually sit down and hold an honest discussion. It isn't just trying to one-up or rely on bad faith arguments or stereotyping that they picked up on Reddit.
Yep.
America actually funded Hamas too, just like we funded the Taliban way back in the 80s.
Yep.
We need to stop creating monsters and then acting like we need to stop them. We should stop creating them to begin with.
Yeah, that's something like the what Hamas is doing. Like they're playing off of that, and it goes back again to what I said earlier. Is they're trying to draw the West in. Like that's what I think's going on. Is they're trying to draw the West into conflict, and we're ready and willing to just jump headfirst into all of these conflicts, and it's destroying us. Like we cannot sustain it. It's not something
Actually,
we can do
Jesus
in
was not a
perpetuity.
Marxist. Jesus was not a Marxist. He never condoned state intervention. He never condoned centralized authority. He condoned individuals choosing to do good to others. And I'm not even a Christian, and I can tell you that much.
He was literally a rebel against the Roman Empire. Like
he was literally, if you could classify him as anything, I would say classify him as an anarchist. Anarchism describes Jesus' beliefs and his teachings more than any other political philosophy. Having nice little fluctuations, going up and going down.
Glad I got to finally join one of your lives. I think I might have been in one earlier. I can't remember. I think this might be the first one though, but
Maybe.
I've been meaning to get in on
Yeah.
some of the discussion. Like that's something I hadn't really done here on TikTok is go live, but
Yeah. I'm starting to grow live a lot more than I was for a while. I took a breather because about this time last year, I started having mental health crisis, getting overwhelmed with my work online. And because it wasn't an election year, I just took some time off away from the internet. And now I'm finally starting to stream more routinely once again. Israel is our fight. They are one of our only allies in the Middle East. Our other allies in the Middle East include Saudi Arabia, who hates Israel. We're not making allies for the right reasons. We're making allies for political reasons.
this guy just said something about justifying our support of Ukraine. So the whole deal with Ukraine, we've been involved in Ukraine decades. We went in there, we toppled a regime that supported the Russian government, and then they invaded Crimea. That was back in 2014. They took Crimea. People wonder how they have it. Well, that's the reason why Russia has Crimea is because we went in and helped overthrow a government that supported Russia, right? And then we tried to. Now we're trying to get Ukraine into the United Nations, and we're slowly encroaching on Russia's border. And Russia responds by defending its border, defending its sovereignty, because we're steadily weaponizing all these countries around it. And people are trying to justify the war with Russia. Like it makes no sense. Like we've been choking Russia for decades. And then they're coming in saying like, well, we have to go in and support Ukraine because this deal that we ourselves are not honoring. We are not honoring that deal. We've been going in there pushing shit on Russia for the last 20, 30 years. The United States is who we are. That's who I'm referencing. When you say who's we, I'm referencing the United States government.
NATO needs to be abolished at this point because America is carrying way too much load. The only allies we have in NATO that are putting anything that are meeting the bare minimum are UK and Poland. Everybody else is just piggybacking off our efforts and our military might, using the NATO alliance to use America as a personal war dog. While simultaneously bragging, oh, we got universal health care. Yeah, because we are your national defense. You're outsourcing your national defense to us at our taxpayer dollars.
MAGA propaganda. Oh, he thinks we're Trump supporters.
Stupid is, stupid does.
Oh man. Like these people cannot even conceptualize the existence of anything other than what they have in their singular dimension capacity. Like they can't conceptualize anything out of the paradigm that they've created. They've created this paradigm where there's two sides that exist, and the idea that anything other can exist is just unable to be even thought of. They can't even conceive of its existence. It's crazy. MAGA propaganda. Peace. Peace. What is peace? Can't have that. Jesus Christ. Why is the United States not going in and being the arbiter of a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia? That's my question. To who is that? Bob B.A. Why is the United States not going in and organizing a peace deal between those two countries? We have the ability.
Sounds like a guy who wouldn't protect his wife or girlfriend. I mean,
Oh,
I
I'm willing
will,
to.
but
Yeah,
I would
I'm
also
willing to
expect my
protect.
wife or girlfriend to be as equally passionate about protecting me.
I'll protect me and mine. I'm just not going to go
I'm
overseas
in,
and protect my government from
I'm in,
the war it
I'm into the
started.
muscle moms, Spartan women.
Why do you think Amerimuts are still strong in this day and age?
Can you repeat that?
Why do you think? Why do you think the Amerimut will ever be on the same playing field as the European?
Honestly, I think we kind of are. That's why they outsource most of those nations are outsourcing their uh, national defense to us through the NATO alliance.
Yeah, we use you, right, as your little pay pigs. Thank you. But you pay for us, and we give you literally nothing, right? You are the fools. What do you mean? Of course, we take advantage. You just sit back and let the cash flow in. You think we're idiots?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's and I think it's completely justified because the people will not stand up and resist tyrannical government. There's no organization. There's just a bunch of talk by a bunch of idiots on one side or the other, and we've created this corrupt, evil system that deserves to be destroyed. And it's going to happen. There's going to be a reckoning eventually.
What tyrannical
It's
government? Most Americans are too obese and mentally ill to ever actually do anything.
yeah, there there are people that are perfectly able that'll go into Walmart and sit and ride around in the cart for an hour, and we're sustaining obesity. You want people not to be obese? Make them fucking walk to go get their food for their food stamps with their food stamps.
Yeah, well,
I
I don't know.
completely agree with you.
How's your population going to resist tyrannical government when you people can't even do a 500-yard dash?
It's
With
not.
a,
I'm not in disagreement with you, man.
Do I look obese to you,
I'm
my guy?
100% on the same page.
I'm probably in better shape than you. I run 3 miles at least 3 to 4 times a week.
I'm
I
53
mean,
kilos, 198 centimeters. Right, I'm quite in shape. I commute
Yep.
to work 20 miles. I think I converted that. Yeah, around 20 miles every day by foot. So, yeah, we walk.
That's good for you, man. That's something not everybody can say. So good for you, man.
It's
But
just I don't understand. Most Americans are literally too mentally ill,
yeah.
genuinely. If they
And
can't live off
way too much information from Reddit.
if they can't live off McDonald's and the processed sugar for a week, everybody in America
Bro,
with
your
sugar
age of
addiction.
consent is 14. Don't talk to me about us.
What?
Your
Yeah,
the age
that's
of
only that's
consent
that
in
yeah,
so
that age
many
of consent.
European nations is literally 14. Germany.
The
It's
average
8.
American education. Those age of consent laws, right, are only in place to protect minors, right? Those are null once you're 18. You do know that, right?
I mean, why is the age of consent 14 to begin with over there?
To protect the minors if they were to
How's
do
that
anything with each
protecting
other.
minors?
Are you going to put a 14-year-old in jail for having with another 14-year-old?
I fail to see how you need to reduce the age of consent to 14 to do that because we don't do that here in the U.S. and the age of consent is typically at the youngest we have state by state is 16.
Yeah,
And we
that's most
still don't
European
arrest
countries.
14-year-olds for sleeping with 14-year-olds.
And number two, those laws only work for people that are under 18. So 17 and older or younger. What do you mean? For all non-adults. If you're 18 and over, you can only be with another 18-year-old or over. I don't understand.
That's how it is in America, except we didn't make law saying that the age of consent is 14.
What? Did you not just hear what I said?
Yeah. I fail to see why you need to make the age of consent 14 to not arrest 14-year-olds for sleeping with each other.
You have the exact same thing, and it's just renamed, and it's called the Romeo and Juliet law. What do you mean? I have it pulled up right here. What do you mean? You guys have the exact same laws as us. What?
No, we
Like
don't.
in practice, you do. Search up the Romeo and Juliet law.
That's not
What?
the same thing as having the age of consent 14, my guy.
It is, because
It's
if
not.
you're 18 and older, you can't be with a 14-year-old.
Correct. So
Yeah.
why?
So only, huh?
I mean, you
And plus,
came in here all high and mighty running your mouth, and now you're on the defensive.
look at our SA
Check
rates
your
compared to
ego
your
before you
country.
jump into life, my friend.
Look at our SA rates compared to your country. What do you mean?
Aren't your SA rates about the same?
No. Look at the statistics. What? If
I'm
one person gets killed in our country, it's broadcast everywhere in the nation. If it's just a random murder.
Where are you from? I don't know anything
Me?
about you. I'm just curious. Yeah, where are you from?
I live in Katowice.
Katowice?
Katowice.
Katowice.
Southern
What?
Poland.
Southern Poland. Okay. That. How do you feel about the Polish government there? Like I've seen some politicians from Poland speaking before, and I've liked their traditionalist views on a lot of things. I'm just curious what your opinion is of the Polish government in general.
The current party is shit. I like Konfederacja more, but they're probably not going to win. That's what most people think.
Yeah.
Konfederacja is like the main right party.
That's something I'm gonna have to educate myself more on. But yeah, like how it's not just towing in line with the rest of the European Union is something that is interesting to see, because it seems like they are the them, and I think it's Romania, maybe, but it's them in another country, but they haven't been just following along with the rest of the European Union.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always going to be shitholes, right? And those places are shitholes because they're Soviet, because they were communist shitholes.
Look at what's going on with Italy right now. With they're being overrun right now too. That island, I can't recall the name of the island that just had 15,000 migrants land on it, and it's got a population. The island prior had a population of like 6,000. So you literally have twice the population just show up on the coast, and just like how do you deal with that? Like you're completely overrunning the entire country.
That's not you act like Poland has some sort of like say to this.
Have what?
It's a union. You act like Poland has like the say on the immigration policies of Italy.
I'm not. I was just drawing a comparison. It's like you have Poland is one unique thing that is not like Italy, is what I was saying. I was saying it's different than Italy.
Mediterraneans are lazy and poor, and they just sleep all day. Look at their employment rates. What? Like, look at Greece. Like, nobody likes these places. Like, only for like they entirely live off of tourism money.
Yeah, I want you to understand something. Is like I'm not here to try and argue with you or try and fight with you or anything. I'm actually interested in having a conversation. So I'm not coming at you with aggression or anything either. So like I'm not interested in like hostile conversation. Just throwing that out there.
Like, I don't know why American would choose to live in like a suburban hellhole.
Yeah,
right?
I don't either. I live in the
I
middle
don't
of
know why
nowhere.
Europeans are so xenophobic.
Xenophobic? What do you mean? We're
That's
only
what you
like
just said about Mediterranean nations, and what
Yeah.
you've been saying about America all day long. That's
Yeah,
pretty
I'm talking
xenophobic.
to. How is it xenophobic? Xenophobic are people coming to your land. I'm talking about people in their own land. That's not xenophobic. I mean, the Italians here make great restaurants. I'm just talking about. I mean, just it's a statistical fact.
Great restaurants. Oh my God.
I mean, your president says like worse things than I have said anyway. Like the last
Who's
10
your president?
presidents. My president.
Where are you
My, we have
from?
a prime minister. It's just some Chad idiot lefty.
I just love this.
But yeah, like
Let's see.
Italy
Let's look.
has like no actual production besides like food, like gross
Not
like
very
It's
GDP.
a tourism country.
for
It's
Israel.
primarily about tourism,
Yeah,
showing off
and
their culture that they're undermining right now and fixing to just like their entire culture is just going to get overrun. It's like that's their tourist attraction is their culture and their history, and they're
Do you
they're just
feel
destroying
that the United
themselves.
States will get into this Israeli and Palestinian war going on? Or do you think we're going to be in there?
don't talk to me about overrunning. What's the genetic makeup of Texas?
Well,
Like what? What is Texan culture? It's been what? It's like basically like Mexico too. It's like majority Hispanic. What do you mean?
yeah,
Texas, the biggest state in your country, is majority Hispanic.
yeah,
That's the
that's
biggest
correct.
state.
That is a foreign culture. That is not American Anglo what culture.
That's
What do you mean?
correct. Yeah.
So you can't don't talk to me about foreign cultures.
What? Why not? Like I'm having a
It
conversation. I'm
seems
not.
No,
like
I'm
you're
not
looking
talking
at
about
the
you.
foreign cultures and
Okay.
think very highly of yourself.
Not you. You've been completely fine.
You've been
I
talking
respect
down
you.
to literally every
I
foreign
like you
nation you've mentioned since you joined the live, my guy.
because they kind of
Because you're a
suck to live
supremacist.
in. No, because they kind of suck to. I wouldn't want to live in these. I wouldn't want to live in any place. I would not trade my spot for any of your guys' spots. Okay.
We won't either. Don't worry. Uh,
Like I like walkable cities and be able to ride a bike to get somewhere.
You have that in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, my guy.
Those
But
places
you
exist here, but there's definitely places that it doesn't. But
you
I
get
mean,
hit by a car if you try to ride a bike in that country.
like the whole country, like the United States is a very big fucking place. Like it's not the whole country. Like what you see on TV and the news and all that stuff, like it's common in a lot of areas, but like the major cities, but I mean like it's not the whole country. There's
Well,
a lot of people in the rural areas of the country especially, and it's nothing like that.
when
I
I
mean,
think of America, I think of like Kensington.
you take it like what?
Like Kensington, right? I think of Kensington,
I don't know what
or
that is.
it's like where the drug epidemic is happening in your country.
Yeah, like San Francisco. Like I'm not denying anything. Like I'm 100% in agreement. Like it's happening. Like the drug cartels. Like what's happening at the border right now. You have the cartels taking people to the border, and they've already got the destination set out for them before they even get to the border. The people coming across already know what city they're going to go to. They already know what job they're going to get when they get to the cities. And you've got women walking up and down the streets that are illegal immigrants working doing sex work, and it's like our system is fucked. Like it is completely morally bankrupt. And like
morally, Brett, dude, don't don't
what?
don't don't blame immigrants for issues like that, bro.
I thought
Every
conservatives
um,
love Israel
a
though.
lot of illegal immigrants coming into the United States, but the drugs, prostitution, or those kind of things, it ain't like the number one issue that's happening. That's like the number one problem in the United States. The problem that we have that's going on is like for example, those kind of things. Those for drugs, that's happening inside the for pharmaceuticals. They're selling this to people that are citizens.
Also,
You're
you act
breaking up
like
a lot.
yeah,
I couldn't really hear you.
Americans act like their
That
nation isn't benefiting from the Ukraine war immensely. I mean, you get
Yeah, the
lend lease.
majority of
You
them
get
are.
well, yeah, you
The
get lend
majority of
lease
them
on
are.
old vehicles. Uh, you get to give out your old stock. and get lend-lease and get cash for them, which you would have never gotten anywhere else. It's been the greatest benefactor to the arms industry in the past 35 years, more so than the Iraq War or the War on Terror. So I don't know what you mean.
Henry,
You're
are you
basically,
the one from Poland?
yes.
Oh, okay. No, you're right. We benefit greatly from that war. We're
From the
really
Ukraine.
rich in America. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
So you
definitely.
act like your business. You act like
Rich in
Lockheed
America.
Martin, and every other, company you guys have in your back pocket is benefiting immensely. This is the best thing ever that's happened to you in the last 15 years. What do you mean?
all about
Yeah.
economics, buddy. That's how the United States become one of the biggest great countries in the world because we put economy into a lot of countries.
Actually,
That's why
this
we have a
kind of
lot.
shows why America should just like, yes, we would get a bad rep. This isn't our fight. I'm going to say this isn't our fight. But if
But it is.
capitalism was the goal, then yes, we would have a major business opportunity. However, it is
Which
not
you did
us.
take up.
Actually, war is not good for economies and for the majority of companies, for business in general. That's been written in Sun Tzu's Art of War. He was very clear that no nation has ever financially benefited from prolonged warfare, unless you're
I
ending the
think we
French
should
in the
honestly,
17th.
we should
It
stay
is
out
for
of this.
Yeah,
Lockheed
World War
Martin.
If we look at it, this is history
World War
repeats
II was
itself, right? And
not
this is, I guess, Israel had their similar battle to Custard's Last Stand. You guys familiar with that?
And also, Israel has been the greatest investment into the Middle East America has ever had. Like, you now have a permanent satellite to
military.
expand your power
Dude.
and your influence. I don't
But
understand.
hey, can I say something though? I'm not to go, but in regards to Israel, I don't condone what's going on. You know, this killing people, putting them in hostages and stuff like that. But someone said one of the people from Palestine did an interview in CNN and went straight to CNN and made a point at one of their newscasters and said, "You guys are basically blaming us for all this shit that happened, but 30 years ago, we made a deal with the Western world plus Israel that we will agree on the certain negotiations regarding about understanding Israel is where they're at and this and that. And basically, what happened is that Israel never broke that deal and basically did not move back to because it's all about their land, right? Palestinians had
Yeah,
their
but
land and there was an issue, but that's what
every
happens in the world. Just with a blind eye, did not go through the deal that they had 30 years ago, and this is what's happening now.
every Israeli
So, I
man
mean,
and
it
woman
is.
is a conscript. They all have legal, and every Israeli man and woman has infantry training. Every Israeli
Anyway,
man and woman
So
regardless
is
of
that,
how they
capable.
want to call their segregation,
Also,
rather they want to call
every
it.
Israeli citizen is able to be a combatant. Like, they all have
No, I'm just
infantry
saying
training.
that this is not our fight, dude. Just like Ukraine, it had a root cause. It was going to happen regardless. Now, they didn't want to move past segregation. They wanted to embrace it. We realized that it was a failure and it would lead to nothing but more and more proxies, more and more insurgents. If they want to continue that path, that's Israel's fight. We should just stay out of it then.
I
Well,
disagree on the point you made about the Ukraine-Russia war being inevitable. I think it was inevitable. I don't think we should have gone in there in 2014 and prior, trying to instill or install a new regime. We went and helped topple the government there, and we installed another
But didn't
regime.
Russia succeed? Wait. My thing is, if it doesn't matter who's the one who's trying to do influence, the power of influence is mighty, dude. You can't blame somebody for kind of like who their favorite artist is, and
I
if you
wonder
were to
who funded Trump's presidency.
But what I'm
can't.
saying is
I'm not saying it's Putin, but
that
No, I'm just
Russia's
saying.
influence existed prior to our going in there. We could have let things stay the status quo and never gotten involved, never toppled their government, and we would never have had a problem. Because 2 days after we helped topple their government, Russia went in and took Crimea. 2 days afterwards.
so we helped
That never
Russia.
should have
So we
happened.
helped Russia in that situation.
We
that's true.
initiated the conflict. is what we did.
Yeah.
We've initiated the conflict and we've been involved since. And
I
somebody
never, I
else
never
said something earlier
did that.
about capitalism and installing capitalism around the world being something that benefits the United States. Please explain to me how that is when you have the government's printing trillions of dollars, inflating the supply of money in our country, and devaluing the dollar, making it impossible for people to get by without gouging themselves, spending everything they have just to get by. Like you're inflating the dollar, and you're saying that's good for capitalism. That's not capitalism. That is the government directly controlling the money and its value. Like, that is not capitalism at all. That is a form of totalitarianism. Goes back to what I was saying earlier.
Damn. That's
Well, what the Israelis call Zionism just may be their downfall.
Americans would rather get shot by police and then not be able to
Yeah,
afford medical
I'd
bills
rather
than
get shot by
pay.
the police
No,
than
no,
deal with their Zionism.
I'm saying Americans would rather get shot by the police and be bankrupt to the hospital bills instead of pay 15% more tax.
what do you mean, America?
Yeah, we've allowed our government to be so invasive, like we've on every level, and like you, I mean, social issues, economic issues, like it's so pervasive. It's everywhere, and
You act like countries like Norway or
I
Finland
mean, our
don't
country,
exist.
in my opinion, it seems a lot better than Israel. America seems a lot better, even with all the flaws we have, dude, and all the extremists. We still seem a lot better than Israel. I'm proud to be an American with the
So
Americans.
you would rather live in
We're not
America
that.
than Norway?
I am too. I'm grateful that I was born here in this country. But the problem is, this is not something that's sustainable. We cannot do this indefinitely. There is a point that we will no longer be able to sustain ourselves in this fashion. It is going to come to an end at some point. When we get to the point where the interest exceeds the amount that the government takes in through taxes, you can't pay off the debt at that point. You can't even cover the interest on the debt. That will cause the currency to become completely insolvent. People won't be able to use it to exchange goods with each other anymore. The entire economy shuts down, and we're in a fucking apocalypse.
So what, you say people just going to revert to
I'm not saying
Bitcoin?
that's happening around the corner or anything.
Yeah, the apocalypse is
where
because
we are
the
going.
apocalypse
That is
is
where we're headed.
McDonald's shut down. The apocalypse is McDonald's shut down for American.
I mean, like, honestly, dude, like, America, like, this shows the progression that America has made over, like, the last, 100 years, I would say. I mean, I'm not that old,
Since
but
World War II, we were more isolationist, and we fought tooth and nail to stay out of foreign wars.
yeah.
After World War II, it was us and the Soviet Union who were the world leading powers, and suddenly we were all for intervention and
Because
spreading democracy and all
everybody
that.
wants to influence America now. That's what we need to be aware of as Americans, is that as we are kind of the de-escalators in some situations, in some situations, and the escalators in some situations.
Something else we need to be thinking about is there is a difference between a country and its government. That is something else that people need to realize, is there is a difference between your country and your government.
I've never been an Iranian I didn't like. I don't like the Iranian government.
I've never seen a skinny American. I don't like Americans.
You said you've
Right.
never seen a skinny American? Never been to
No.
America,
Just
bro?
doing nothing but repeating stuff you heard from other xenophobic Europeans.
How am I xenophobic?
Because you hate every nation that isn't yours, my guy.
No, I love my brother
You've been
nations.
talking down to literally every nation except your own.
I love my brother nations. What do you mean?
I mean, I'm African American, but I just like identify as American because I don't know what descendant of Africa I come from, and that's too much research.
Oh no.
Oh hell yeah, dude! This is 2023. Does it matter? No, man. I mean, we're in America. Like, dude, this is not Israel. Like, just imagine if like black people were treated like Palestinians in Israel. Yeah, dude, that would be terrible. Now, anyway, America's like far better than that, dude.
No, I mean, what is American patriotism? Because it's not like connected to any like religion, ethnicity, culture. So,
Dude, are you familiar with the Battle of Little Bighorn? That is
No.
American patriotism right there.
Like, this is just so silly.
I would think a better description of that would be the battles of Lexington and Concord would be an example of patriotism. because it is directly against the United States government. Anything
I
that
would
supports the
argue
United
that
States
the
government's
Battle of
ability.
Athens shortly after World War II would probably be the best example of all, if y'all are or aren't familiar with it.
No, the War of Vietnam is the best. Just young men being sent to die hopelessly for no reason. That's America.
Didn't y'all do literally the same thing during World War I at much higher rates? I might add.
No, that was
Yeah,
different.
this is
That's just up for your
You see, no,
American
problem.
no. You
Everybody,
see, when we Europeans we settle our debts, we settle our debts. Okay.
Yeah, by sending thousands of young men to die at the front lines and trenches for a bunch of nobles and imperial officials.
That was necessary to lay
Donkeys led,
the framework we have today.
lions led by donkeys. All of World War One.
The
America
Hungarians
stayed
and the
out of it until
Croatians
y'all
got
tried
what
to
was coming to
directly
them.
attack us.
how
The
do you pronounce your
Hungarians
name?
got
Is it Beirut?
Beherit.
Beherit? Okay. So do you think anything you were saying in this conversation, by constantly antagonizing, do you think anything that you're saying is constructive by any degree? Are you
Yes,
here
it
for any
is.
kind of constructive? Are you trying to reach a
Here
point?
it
'Cause, like,
is.
what I'm
This is
seeing
okay.
from you is like you're just constantly trying to just attack and try and belittle anybody that has any kind of opinion that is positive.
How is it? No, the truth is, right? Every problem the American people have, you can't say it was not caused by themselves.
What? Can you repeat that? I missed it.
You can't say any problem the American people has today. You can't say was not caused by themselves
And I'm in agreement with
and
that.
their own idiotic,
But
stupid.
the problem
But I say
is,
that you get to eat your own cake, right? That's what I'm saying. So
okay, so here's what I'm saying is I'm saying that is true, and we need to find a way to fix the problem. And
We need
then
to find the Nazis.
repeat the same thing is like America has caused its own problems. America has caused its own problems. I agree. Now we need to fix those problems. You see what I'm saying? And then you just say, but you caused those problems. You keep saying you caused those problems.
yeah,
Do you
well,
understand what I'm saying?
well, before you fix the problems, you're gonna have to eat your own cake for a few decades. Like, I mean, this is like face your own consequences for your
I agree with
actions.
that. Yeah, I agree with that.
So whatever comes in the next, I'd say I'm gonna give this America like a 30-year hiccup. All right, and I'm
I
being
think it's gonna be longer.
and I'm being very, very lenient.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be longer. It's going to be a lot longer and it's going to be a lot harder. But I
Right?
think a lot of people, I don't think it's just going to be America. We're probably going to get the brunt end of it. We're probably going to get the worst because we're not used to. We're in the first world. Like we've benefited off of our greed, and we've become complacent and lazy, as you've already pointed out. And we don't know what it's like to live in third world conditions. And one day we're going to experience those third world conditions. And the people that are going to prosper the most during those times in America's decline is going to be the people that have been living in third world conditions because they're used to it.
So yeah, right. Well, we're here because
Fuck
basically
them Palestinian monkeys.
our nations are basically put in a situation where if we were to be cut off from the U.S., we can turn our own nations into a super fortress.
And that's something
Right.
else that you're doing right now in response to Ukraine is you're
Yes.
becoming more self-reliant. Yeah.
So yeah, and very, very soon, right, at a flip of a switch, no one is going to be able. We can enact where nobody goes in and out of Poland. Right.
Yep. And preventing Ukrainian
can't-
wheat from coming into your country right now too is trying
You
to.
can't say that. You can't say the same for your borders.
Yep.
Right, and you're supposed to be the most advanced nation on earth, and you can't secure a straight line.
Yep, and it's because the whole system's fucking corrupt. Like, and we've created this system that's designed to fail. We've created the system that's designed to lure these people in and to like the ship is sinking, and we're just throwing cash off of it. We're just throwing cash everywhere. We're inviting people in to loot and steal from the country before it's collapsed. That's what's going on right now. It's a sinking ship.
So basically, there's going to be a dark age. Europeans will prosper, and yeah.
I think Europe's actually probably going to be a bloody place.
Oh,
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I don't see any other way than it becoming a bloody place with all the conflict that's going on right now. You got the West versus the East.
you
And,
people do not know blood.
What's that?
You people don't know blood like we do.
I'm saying Europe's gone several generations without any major conflict.
Oh,
A lot of most more industrialized nations of Europe have not known conflict. Look at the UK,
80 years
look
ago,
at Germany.
41 million people died in our nations.
But you see
Europe
what
is
I'm saying is look at these other countries, these other developed first world countries, Germany, UK, France, they don't know bloodshed. You have France rioting every once in a while, but they don't know bloodshed. Those people don't know bloodshed. You have people from Africa coming into France, coming into Germany, coming into Italy, coming into the UK. They know what it's like to live in a third world country. What do you think those people are going to do when everything hits the fan?
Well, no,
Those
they're going to be
people are going to want blood. Those people are going to want to loot. Those people that are coming into Europe are going to want to do the same thing in Europe than they're going to do here. Europe's not
but
going to be exempt.
you know how militarized our square blocks are? And how easily
I'm
deployable
not
we are?
specifically
We have
talking about
so...
Poland, your country, but
No,
I'm
I'm
asking
saying
your
as
country's
abroad
doing
of
that at
Europe.
all.
As abroad of Europe, like our nations are so small, and our militaries are micro dependent, are independent, right? But if put together, very also strong.
Yeah, I
So
think
at
what's going to
will,
happen,
we could
the European countries are going to consolidate and they're going to isolate and they're going to fix the problems within their own borders. That's probably what's going to do. It's going to break up the union that Europe has, and all of the countries in Europe are going to consolidate and fix the problems within their own border. And I think it's still going to be rough in Europe. I just
What
don't see.
union? Name one problem the EU has brought to us. Like, and don't say migration, because migration is dictated by everybody else's own nations and their own borders.
But migration is an issue. But I'm not
And
saying.
also say refugee, and also our refugees are also caused by the problems you cause in the Middle East.
Yeah, I'm not denying any of that. I'm saying these issues persist regardless of what caused them.
Right. So.
But I'm just saying that it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows when shit hits the fan. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
Like I don't have a problem with you. I understand where you're coming from entirely, dude. And I hope Poland turns out okay. I think y'all will. Y'all are like your government's doing everything in it can to prepare its own people. But I still don't think Europe's just going to be this great, wonderful place when everything happens.
No. I think
What
Europe
do you think is going to happen? What do you think Europe is going to?
Europe, Europe is
We can't hear you, man.
just Russia, China, North Korea. These other countries that are not in NATO are just bitter. It's just that the United States and a lot of the NATO nations have like formed this alliance, and they could be part of it, but they don't want to. So if you don't want to do that, that's on them. And
Okay.
I think going back to that gentleman that talked about why the hell did we get in the mix back in 2014 in Ukraine? I'm agreeing with that. How the hell did we get into that? And I think about it, Ukraine for Russia, that's their money jar right there, because agricultural. I mean, there's a lot of things that the Black Sea, that's like their main navy port, like how it is with the Norfolk, Virginia for us. So
Toppling the Ukrainian government was an attack on Russia. Like there's no other way to look at it. Like it was an attack on Russia. Like we forced Russia out of Ukraine.
That's true. And I don't condone what's happening now in Ukraine. Goddamn, they're getting blown to bits left and right, and we're doing the best that we can to assist them. My prayers to them. But the thing is, that is a very good point from that gentleman. Like, how did we get ourselves back in 2015? The only way we get ourselves in the mix with any type of issues in other countries that are not in the United States, for one good reason, economically or something that's going to gain for us. And that's basically it. Yes, it could backfire from us. Things can hit the fan like what it did with Afghanistan. Didn't we support the Taliban?
Do you want me to explain exactly what we did in Ukraine? I don't know.
Even when your own allies don't like you, you should just start thinking about that.
What we did in Ukraine is we went in. There were the extremist groups in Ukraine, and they did not like the government. They were Nazis. There's literally Nazis in there. It's run by criminal organizations. There's all kinds of criminal organizations in Ukraine. But we had our government go in, the CIA. They went in. They got in touch with these people, and they made a deal with them. And look at how they're benefiting right now. All these billions of dollars that are flowing into Ukraine, this is all money that was promised during the Obama administration. Who was vice president during the Obama administration? All these deals you hear about Hunter Biden and Ukraine, all of this was organized. Like, it's literally all fucking there. We went in and made these deals under Obama with Joe Biden as president. We gave money to the Nazis. They went in and they said, we're not going to have this Russian government or this Russian puppet government here anymore, and we're going to be in charge here, and we're going to support the United States. And then all these billions of dollars flow into Ukraine because we all promised it. Like, this is all that's what happened. That's literally what happened. And like, it's so easy to see.
Hey, someone's wife is pissed off right now. She might want to get into the conversation.
Let her. More the merrier.
So this is the first time I'm hearing Nazis.
Yeah,
Whoa.
like there's gangs in Ukraine. There's these criminal organizations that are militant gangs in Ukraine. I can't remember what they called it. It was some protest in Ukraine that they had, the Summer of Love or some shit. They called it, you know, to give it a good name, and they went in and they toppled the government. But yeah, like, there's literally Nazis in Ukraine that have taken over the government in Ukraine, and they hate the Russians. And now all the Ukrainian people are dying for the Nazis in order to fight the Russians. Like, that's literally what's happening. And it's crazy that nobody knows, and it's so easy to see how it all worked out.
Where can I find this type of information? Because, well, no,
Dude, you're gonna have to contact me, and I'll just DM me, and I'll get in touch with you. We're gonna have to get in touch on some other social media platform because it's so hard. I hate messaging over TikTok. It's
that's
get
fine.
me on Facebook or Instagram or something.
But before I go, in regards about what's that? Or about the fight for Israel? No, we shouldn't be part of that. But it seems like our carrier's going down there to help out the Israelis. So I'm like, shit. Good luck with that.
Able to join? Margie Winters, is she able to join the live stream? I'd like her to explain exactly how I'm lying and what exactly I'm lying about.
Margie Winters.
Yeah, she said these guests are liars. Russia has spent millions. Yeah. Are we saying they haven't? Who's saying they haven't?
My connection is starting to screw up. No, they haven't tried to join the live yet. Looks like my connection might be screwing. My phone is starting to get hot. I'm not sure how much I can keep this stream going.
Yeah, if you
like to keep going until at least I get a ticket.
I'll speak because I'm trying to understand this too. Because guess what? I'm a Democrat, and I like listening to people talking about points and views, and I respect that. You know, but
yeah, man,
you know,
like,
by the end, I think
that's what's crazy about it. This all crosses party lines. Like, there's a huge political shift happening right now in the political landscape, and like we have to seize on it. We have to like come together and like talk about these issues because it's just going to get swept on the rug if we don't. We have to address them. Like, it's crazy what our government's doing right now.
More importantly, we're about to see a large change in Congress because all of these old senators, Dianne Feinstein, John McCain. It's going without saying that these individuals are on their deathbed, and it's the only way these individuals are ever going to leave office. So we really need to pay attention to the upcoming, not just the election next year, but the midterms. And we need to start getting younger people, preferably even alternative parties and independents in office, rather than just continuing to vote for the duopoly, because they're just going to find more corporate supported candidates, whether it's Republicans or Democrats.
Okay, Margie said that Ukraine has a high-functioning democracy. I'd like her to explain how that is. And then Fathead said, so Russia invaded Crimea in 2014, and then again last year. What did we do 2 days before Russia invaded Crimea, Fathead? What did we do 2 days prior to them invading Crimea? I wonder if he even knows. I know he doesn't, but see what he says. Russian propaganda, Russian bots. I bet she thinks I voted for Trump too. I didn't in either election, and I'm not going to in the next one either.
I didn't vote for Trump.
she's another one of those people that I was referencing earlier that has this idea that there's only two specific types of people and there can be no other type of person. You have to either be left or right, Republican or Democrat. You can't think for yourself. You've got to be one of these two people. You got to be a Russian bot. You've got to be a MAGA person. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Big Ramaswamy said he would make Ron Paul the Secretary of the Fed, right?
Dude, we don't even have a House Speaker that's like, what's his name? McCarthy just got kicked out, so we don't even know who's going to be House Speaker. But
Listen, we've got three different types of people in this conversation right now. We've got a Democrat, we've got a libertarian, and we've got me, an anarchist. So
it's like a joke for
Jesus.
like. No, by the end of the day, guys, like America will know what they need to do with themselves. I mean, guys, we just got through the pandemic about a couple of years ago. Shit, we never lived through a pandemic in our lifetime, except people that are like our great grandparents, and to see how it was after they got through the pandemic and how they got through socially, the government and everything. Everything's just shit show right now with all these wars.
Let me put something in front of you real quick. So you know how the thing was about social distancing and trying to disperse population to a point where the virus couldn't go from one person to the next, right? Think about what the government did, right? So you have all of these corporations. Walmart receives $6.2 billion a year in government funding. You shut down all of these small businesses where all the other places that people could go and spread out over the economy, and you consolidate it down to Walmart and all these corporate entities, and you force everybody into these same areas. So have you thought about that at all? Like what they did? Like that's literally what they did.
I mean,
they shut down all the small businesses that couldn't defend themselves, and then they just gave the entire economy to these major corporations like Walmart, and they already received $6.2 billion every single year in government funding. And I encourage what's her name, Margie, to go look into that. Tell me how that's a lie. Tell me how that's a propaganda. Where can you show me anything other than that fact that Walmart receives $6.2 billion in government money every year that we pay as taxpayers, and then tell me that they didn't shut Walmart down? Like, tell me that's a lie. Like, Margie, tell me that's a lie. Tell me that's propaganda again. Tell me how I'm an agent of Russia when I'm opposing fascism here in the United States. I'm sure she hates fascism, but I'm telling her that fascism is occurring, and I'm explaining how it's occurring in front of her. But she's got this bot programming, this NPC thinking, where you can only be left or right. It's I can't help but laugh. Like it's
well, politics it's definitely left or right now. And I mean, I'm not saying that that's how it should be, but it became that way the last couple of years, and it sucks to be that way. Like it's not about left and right. It's about understanding what's really right in front of you. And if we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about it. We might not agree with it, but it is what it is. I mean, I understand where she's coming from in a way because she has her own opinion about it, and that's fine. I mean, she could say we're a lot of people that are talking in this conversation are liars. Okay, well, that's we have a right to agree to disagree. But
and you see, something else that does. So I'm not saying it's a negative aspect of the conversation because what it really does is like it encourages more in-depth conversation. Like the criticism itself encourages you to have actual conversation that addresses the point that she's making. Like she called it liars and propaganda, and I had to respond. That initiated a response that had already been like I've already thought about all these issues, and she's bringing them to the surface and having this have a conversation about them, right? So she's creating conversation.
Oh shit, he's gone. Coffee break? What happened to him?
Battery's dying. But
yeah,
that she detests, and she's encouraging conversation that she fundamentally disagrees with without accepting it. But you see, what that's doing is that it's encouraging more conversation.
It does. It's like the guy from Poland.
It's beautiful how it works.
Like we're all people. I've been to Poland, man. There's some people there too. Depends where they're at. No, but hey, before I go, this was a very good conversation. I thought I was gonna go into this. I'm like, there was gonna be like a lot of heated situation, but no, this is good.
Yep.
Librarian, thank you very much for doing this. You guys have a good evening, man.
You too. I'm going to follow you right now.
All right, have a
Get
good
up
one.
here too. Y'all have a good night. All right, man. I'm a split. I enjoyed it though.
Yeah. I think now's a good time to leave because it sounds like your phone's about to die, my phone's overheating, and the connection is getting screwy. So,
I'll talk to you. Take it
all
easy.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank everybody for participating in us, but I guess it's good to peace out right about now. Y'all enjoy your evening.